Acorn. No, not the tree nut squirrels are crazy about. The once largest community organization group in America. While few Americans knew of the organization at the time, they were thrust into the spotlight when charged with widespread voter fraud and undermining the electoral process in the 2008 election. And linked to this organization and their crimes was none other than the presidential candidate Barack Obama. This was in fact false. It was an agenda set and driven through the Republican candidates Sarah Palin and John McCain. Continuous attacks on Acorn and President Obama led to a Pew poll that found 82% of the public believed Obama was involved in these acts in some way. Dreyer and Martin, 2010. My name is Nathaniel Hess.
And I am Becky Roach. We are part of the elite investigative journalist team here at 6 to 10 Minutes, and today we are continuing our 16-part series on communication theories and their relationship with public relations. Today we are diving into the theory of agenda setting, so the world can understand the influence that the media can have and to teach you how to spot the truth.
To start, we will be speaking with communication historian Bridget Nealon about how the theory came to be. Next, communication scholar Kelly Dwyer will give us an explanation of the theory, followed by media specialist Kyle Pulteney showing us how it's applied in our current and past media settings. To wrap up this part, we will finish with more examples of the effects of agenda setting theory, like the Acorn story earlier. As we all know, to understand anything, you need to look at its origins, where it started. Bridget, it's so great to have you here. So, where did this theory originate from?
Well, thank you for having me. The theory originated about 100 years ago. Great men are usually only known to the public through a fictitious personality, wrote American reporter Walter Lippmann in the first chapter of his 1922 book, Public Opinion. Inspired by Plato's cave allegory, Lippmann was one of the first to argue that the images of politicians and industries in the minds of their publics come from how they are portrayed in the mass media. Building off of Lippmann, American political scientist Bernard Cohen said in 1963, "The media may not be successful much of the time in telling people what to think, but is stunningly successful in telling its readers what to think about." Media expanded throughout the 20th century, from newspapers to television and eventually to the internet. As media expanded, so did its influence. So, later in the 20th century, inspired by Lippmann and Cohen, Don Shaw, a professor, and Maxwell McCombs, a journalist at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, investigated the role of the media in presidential campaigns. In Shaw and McCombs' 1972 article, The Agenda Setting Function of Mass Media, the two researchers hypothesized that the mass media heavily influenced which issues the voters thought were the most important during the election. They were the first to call this theory agenda setting. From there, agenda setting became a widely studied theory, especially in political communications. This theory becomes the subject of countless studies, books, and critiques. McCombs later wrote in a book in 2014, Setting the Agenda, the Mass Media and the Public Opinion, detailing how agenda setting works, how it influences public opinion, reality versus the news, why it occurs, attributes, framing, insight on how a PR practitioner can influence the media's agenda, and the consequences of agenda setting theory.
Here to explain this theory's function is communication scholar Kelly Dwyer. Kelly, what exactly makes this theory tick?
Well, in McCombs et al. 1973 paper, Voters' Need for Orientation and Use of Mass Communication, the need for orientation, or NFO, is described to be based off of the fact that people need, quote, to be familiar with their surroundings, end quote. This concept is a combination of uncertainty and relevance. Relevance refers to the interest that an individual has in the given topic. Uncertainty refers to the extent that an individual is knowledgeable on a given topic. Low relevance automatically leads to low NFO. Since a low level of relevance suggests that a given topic has little to no significance to an individual, that person will not be motivated to seek more information on it. According to McCombs et al., New Directions in Agenda Setting Theory and research from 2012, high relevance is necessary to measure NFO and is coupled with levels of uncertainty to determine the overall NFO level. Those with high relevance and high uncertainty have high NFO. These people are motivated by accuracy goals, meaning they are trying to obtain more information on a topic from media rather than attempting to support their own personal beliefs. This information will come from vertical media sources. Vertical media uses first-level agenda setting. which focuses on objects or public issues of importance. This level essentially introduces the topic of discussion and reviews what something is. High active information seekers prioritize an accurate media source over a biased one. On the other hand, those with high relevance and low uncertainty have moderate NFO. These people will tend to gravitate towards a more partisan media outlet, such as horizontal media sources. Horizontal media often uses second-level agenda setting, which focuses on the attributes or detailed characteristics of an object. Because this level focuses on attributes, partisan media outlets will often emphasize the importance of certain attributes over others. Since there are low uncertainty levels, this group of information seekers have more directional goals. These information seekers are already informed on the topic at hand and are seeking for reassurance in their beliefs rather than for more information. This group of information seekers will have the opportunity to support their personal beliefs with this type of media. High active information seekers are also more prone to agenda melding. High active information seekers are also more prone to agenda melding, which means that individual will meld their opinions from various sources to fit their own personal beliefs and experiences. According to Shaw et al., 1999, individual groups and agenda melding, a theory of social dissonance. This concept is based off of cognitive dissonance, where people will seek information that satisfy their own opinions and avoid information that does not.
Now that we understand the parts of the theory, Kyle is going to tell us how it can be applied.
All right.
Yeah.
Agenda setting theory has been used to investigate the effects that media messages can have on what the public thinks about and what they deem important. It has been applied by scholars in researching communication of various types of messages, including those in politics, health, entertainment, and news coverage. In 2018, Alita Volli and Cave conducted a study using agenda setting theory to explain why the public perceived crime rate to be much higher than its actual occurrence by comparing heavy users of local news with moderate viewers and asking them which issues they considered most important. They observed a direct correlation between local news exposure and concern of crime, as heavy users were significantly more likely to mention crime as their primary concern than moderate viewers. These findings can be used by media professionals to better communicate to the public which topics they should be concerned about in comparison to others. In addition to agenda setting theory's application in television news media, it has also been applied in research of social media as its use has become increasingly popular. Due to the personalized nature of social media feed, scholars were unsure how certain messages would permeate public agenda with greater selectivity. However, agenda setting theory researchers have offered insight to this relatively new concern. In a 2018 study by Fiesel, users of Facebook with low and high political interest were exposed to political information on their feed to test influence on public agenda through social media, along with the control group not exposed to political information. The study found that despite Facebook's greater selectivity of media messages, exposure to political information significantly affected the agenda of users in comparison to those not exposed with less politically interested users most influence. Ultimately, agenda setting theory is applied to public relations as practitioners utilize media as a tool to effectively influence public agenda. This media influence is useful in politics to guide opinion, in advertising to generate public interest, or in health communication to spread awareness of various health concerns.
Now we're going to look at examples of how this theory can be used by public relations professionals. In one study, 6 major news outlets were examined to determine their agenda-setting power. According to Searles and Smith 2016 article, Who's the Boss? Setting the Agenda in a Fragmented Media Environment, Fox News was the only media outlet which had the agenda-setting power to affect their audience's agenda. This shows that although agendas will vary between media outlets viewers choose to watch, some news outlets, such as Fox News, will have more agenda-setting power. During the 2016 U.S. presidential race, Trump's and Clinton's campaign websites and tweets reflected their party's owned issues. According to Lee and Zhu's 2018 article, The More Attacks, the More Retweets, Trump and Clinton's Agenda Setting on Twitter, half of their tweets posted during the last 3 months of campaigns were negative, and attack tweets were effective in increasing favorites and